All right, these are the notes for our section on budgeting within Unit 2 for Consumer Economics. So let's just think about it. What is your idea of financial security? What are some things that you need to know in order to help you reach financial security? Another thing to think about is that sometimes the money troubles that people face aren't income issues, they're spending issues. Meaning, a lot of times people feel like, if I just made a little bit more money, or if I had a little more money, I wouldn't have all these financial issues. When the truth of the matter is, yes, more money may help, but if you are not good about how you spend your money, then having more money is not going to solve your problem. What is a budget? A budget is a spending plan for the use of money over time based on goals and expected income. The purpose of a budget is to take control of your money and spending. Keep in mind, having a budget does not mean that you are being cheap. Too often people associate, the fact that, oh no, I'm on a budget or what have you, that you're being cheap. That's not true. You're watching your money. The richest people in the world, billionaires, they have budgets because they want to know where their money is going and what they're spending it on. There's 7 basic steps for creating a budget. Number 1, establish financial goals. Number 2, estimate your total income. Number 3, estimate your total expenses. Number 4, analyze current income and spending. Number 5, prepare a trial budget. Number 6, put your budget into action. And number 7, evaluate your budget periodically. So number 1, involving establishing financial goals. It's important that you take the time to make a list of your financial goals. Include short, medium, and long-term goals. For example, a short-term goal may be having money to go to the movies with your friends this weekend. It's short-term, you have a short amount of time to accomplish it. It's not going to require a large amount of money. A medium-term goal would be saving money for a week-long vacation with your friends next year. So you have a little bit more time to accomplish that goal. It obviously is going to require you to have more money than going to the movies, so that makes it a medium-term goal. A long-term goal would be buying a new car or paying for future education. It's long-term because you may have a little bit more time to accomplish that goal, and then ultimately it's going to be a higher expense than like going to the movies or going on vacation. Part 2 would be estimating and totaling your income. You need to decide on your budget period based on when you receive the most income. If you're a person that maybe gets paid weekly, then your budget may be based on a weekly schedule. If you get paid every other week or bi-weekly, then maybe your schedule is based on you getting paid that every other week. If you get paid once a month, or if you consider the fact that your large bills you have to pay once a month, then you would be looking at a monthly budget period. The thing you want to make sure you do is to estimate your income during a typical budget period. So meaning any income you have, is that if that's income from your main job, that can be anything from your allowance as well. But you want to estimate about how much money you have coming in during that typical budget period, depending on the budget period that you choose. Part 3 would be estimate and total your expenses, An expense is the cost of goods and services that you buy. It's helpful to classify your expenses as fixed, variable, and periodic. And we're going to look at what those 3 differences are in the next couple slides. A fixed expense would be a set cost that must be paid each budget period. For example of fixed expense, keyword fixed, meaning they typically do not change. That would be things like rent or mortgage payments. Every month your mortgage is going to be that exact amount, and for the most part your rent should be the same. Tuition, so if it's tuition to like a college or university, or if you're a parent and you're paying tuition for your certain school activities that your child is involved in, dance class, basketball club, what have you. Your insurance premium, so your insurance premiums would be what you pay to maintain whatever insurance you have. And a lot of times those insurance premiums you may pay once every 6 months, or you may pay monthly, and they're going to be the same from month to month, which makes it fixed. And then also loan payments. So if you have a car note that you're paying, that amount is going to be the same from month to month, or loan payments for student loans or something like that. It's going to be the same from month to month. A variable expense is a cost that changes both in the amount and the time it must be paid. So for example, food, okay? You're going to be eating every single day, but you have some variable or variance or variety, keyword with variable, of how much you're going to pay. So maybe 1 week for dinner, you may be spending a lot of time outside of the house and you're not able to be cooking, so you may be eating out a lot, which means at that point your food budget or your variable expense of food is going to be more, as opposed to a week where you decide that you're going to cook every night. Clothing may be the same. Maybe you, especially if you think about like if you have a child and they grow out of clothing, how much you spend on clothing, depending on the type of time of the year, is going to vary. If it's getting ready to be cold, then you're spending more money on clothing than you would, in July when you had spent that money already on those clothes that that child needed for the summer. Medical expenses. So if you went to the doctor and you have to now pay your deductible for that visit, you can go, several months and not have that medical expense again. So it varies. And then entertainment. An example I always use is 1 month you decide to go to the Beyonce concert. The next month, your entertainment budget just consists of you paying for your Netflix for that month. It varies depending on what your choices are or what you choose to do during that budget period. A periodic expense is a cost that comes up occasionally that needs to be accounted for in a budget. These are things that do not involve your basic needs. So this may also be known as a discretionary expense. So things like a prom expense, right? It's periodic. It doesn't happen every year, but when it does happen, there is consideration that has to be made to pay for that thing. Birthday gifts. I know for me, it's there's certain times in a year where I'm spending more money on birthday gifts than others because of when it's certain family members' birthdays. So you have to keep in mind that those birthday gifts are just periodic depending on when those birthdays come up. And then also Christmas presents. So that is a periodic expense. It happens once a year. Typically people spend more around Christmas time than they do other times of the year. So that makes it periodic. Keep in mind that some things may be a necessity, a necessary, and a periodic expense. So example, buying a basic coat to keep you warm is a necessary expense, right? You need that. It gets cold in Illinois over the winter. However, a pricey designer coat is a discretionary expense because a less expensive coat would do. Okay, so those are the things you have to keep in mind when you're determining, yes, you need something, but how much money should you be spending on that need? So part 4 would be analyzing your current income and spending. You want to inspect your record of income and expenses. Are your income figures accurate, for example? And then you want to make sure you subtract your expenses from your income for each budget period. Do you come out even? If you have nothing left, then you are in the hole. So ideally, you want to either come out even at the end of your budget period. So after you have estimated your expenses and then you go through the month and you spend the money and what have you, you want to either break out even, or if you have some left over, that's great too, because then you can put it towards your savings or other things that are important to consider that maybe you need to put a little bit of money towards. Perhaps some people, if they have money left over at the end of their budget, they put that towards those periodic expenses that they know are going to come up and be a more expensive time of the year for them for whatever reason. Number 5, prepare a trial budget. Bring together your goals, income, and expenses into some sort of plan. A plan reduces the temptation to spend carelessly. So there's so many different ways that people approach this whole plan, whether it be a cash-only budget where once they decided how much money they're going to spend in different situations, they only use cash for those things. Okay, so this is when you can really be creative about your approach to how to actually go about that trial budget. Number 6, put your budget into action. Once your budget is set up, you need to spend and save according to your plans. Keep your budget handy and refer to it often. Okay, it's just like anything else. Oftentimes, remember things that we keep in front of us or that we're able to see. So there's several apps, for example, you can use on your phone. Some people like to have things written down on paper and pen to reference. You do what works best for you. When the budget period ends, fill in the amounts for actual income and expenses. And when an actual expense is greater than the amount you budget, identify the cause. Did you ignore the plan? Was there unexpected expenses? Or was your estimate just too low? And then 7 goes along with that whole ending of part 6, evaluating your budget periodically. It is wise to review your budget and to make sure it is working for you. When significant life changes happen, such as changing jobs, getting married, having a baby, etc., you can expect that you need to revisit your plan. Because when those life changes happen, oftentimes your budget is going to have to change, whether that be the length of your budget period changing, because maybe if you change jobs, you may have gone from getting paid twice a week to now once a month. So you need to change how you approach your budget period. And then oftentimes those changes may cause you to spend more money, or they may allow you to save more money. So you want to make sure you evaluate that budget. And that is it.